The purpose of this channel and its videos are to show youth that there is another way that they can move through life without getting into trouble. I hope you enjoy. All right, so guys, we're going to talk about leaving the club. Like I was saying, when you're in the club, you get this sense of family and belonging, and that's what will drag kids in. But once you leave, that just goes out the door like that. You know what I mean? All these people that were your family, your friends, like there's people that you've sat down and broke bread with. Once you leave the club, except for a handful of them, they'll no longer talk to you. You no longer belong to that family. So that's a really sad part, because you meet some really, really good people when you're in the club, and you literally would die for them and consider them your family. And once leaving, that just goes out the window. And it happens with everybody. It happens with all clubs. There's no way around it. Once you leave, like even if you're out on good standings, like no one talks to you, because like why? You talk when you're in the club because you have meetings once a week, you have runs to go to, you have all this stuff. So you're partying together, you're like socializing, you know what I mean? Seeing them every week, so you're talking to them, you're close. You go do things with them during the week, but once you leave and you don't see them anymore, it's just like any friend group. If you're busy working and you don't have time to go and hang out with your friends, you lose contact with them. Same thing as the club. Like as soon as you leave, it's sad, but because you really want to reach out and be close to them, but like they're not gonna. So it's another sad thing. Like kids need to realize, like it's all well and good, like you belong to this thing that you've always wanted to be, and you got a sense of family, but then you're back at square one. Like my life restarted when I was 27. Like I had cut back 10 years and I had to restart again. So after leaving the club, it's hard for you to work your way out of it. Like, man, I stayed in Sydney for another 2 years after I left the club, and then was still getting into a lot of trouble hanging around the boys that I left the club with. So it got to a point where I was like, I'm either going to go to jail or I need to start my life fresh. So I moved away, and told myself that when I moved away, I'm going to be a different human. I'm going to try to be as nice as I can to everyone that I meet and leave a good impression. But it's easier said than done, because you still have them ways of thinking. You've been doing it for so long. So like, for example, you go to a job site, because back then I owned a barbershop in Sydney, which was in a rival club's area. So that's, it was a bit fun with that one. Once you leave, like let's just say you go, because I wasn't used to working. So I sold my barbershop, you go to a normal job, and like you're just a average Joe, you know what I mean? Like your boss can talk to you like, "Oi mate, what the fuck are you doing?" And for me, that triggers something in my head. Like when people start talking down to me, I sort of like go, "What the fuck did you just say?" And it sort of puts you back into that mindset, because they don't know what you've been through. They don't know what you've done. They don't give like to you, you're just fucking their worker, you know what I mean? So they can normally talk to their workers like that, whereas you've never been spoken to like that. So it takes a lot of training for your mindset to get back into normal society. And that's what kids need to realize. Like once you go down that path long enough, the longer that you're on that path, the harder it is to going to get back to normality. Other things that affected me were when I'd go somewhere in a restaurant or a bar, I'd always find a seat where I'd sit with my back to the wall and I'm facing everybody. And the first day that I moved to where I moved, I went to dinner with my next door neighbour, which was a Swedish girl. And she said, "Oh, I'll take you out to dinner, show you around the place." I was like, all right. Ended up going to dinner with her. And I sat there, and that was the first night I moved. For me, because it just was like it was just normality to me, I was watching every person that walked in and out of the bar. And she pulled me up. She's like, "Hey, are you all good?" And I was like, "Yeah, what do you mean?" And she's like, "You're watching every person that walks in here." And I didn't realise how much like living that club life, like it affects you, because you're all constantly on hypervigilance. Like every time you go to the shops, you're like looking to see who's there, who's giving you an eye, every bar you go to, you're like, "Oh, who's this guy? Why is he giving me trouble?" like, I remember being in Thailand once with a partner, and my missus tapped me on the shoulder, and she said, Ando, there's a guy that just looked at your vest and he's staring at you. And I was like, what does he look like? And she goes, oh yeah, he's really big with tattoos all over his face. And I'm thinking, here we go. Like, I'm in a foreign country. Who is this going to be? You know what I mean? And I remember turning to him, and he had a big mongrel mob patch on his face. And I remember looking at him, and I said, how you going, bro? And then he's like, yeah, good, man. How are you? And I said, can I buy you a drink? And he's like, yeah, fucking oath. Ended up having a chat with him. He was a good dude, but like, yeah, you never know what you're going to walk into when you live in that life. You know what I mean? Never know who you're going to run into, what's going to happen. Yeah, you're always just hyper vigilant. And it's not good. Like, I spoke to my psychologist about it, and I told him that I was doing that sort of stuff, and he said, man, you're going to be hyper vigilant. Like, that's not a bad thing, but it can be. But you're going to be like that for most of the rest of your life, just because the life that you've lived. You know what I mean? So kids have to realize this. Like, it does affect you. And also, I never knew what anxiety or depression was while I was in the club, because you're so on the go, and you don't really have many feelings when you're in that sort of life. Like, it is what it is sort of thing. So like, anything you do, you could flog somebody, jump on their head, whatever, and it is what it is. Like, they deserved it, they had it coming. Now I would never do that, because I'd think, man, that's like, I'd be the one to be like, nah, boys, pull up. Like, that's no good. You know what I mean? But when you're in that life, man, you're so stuck in that mindset. Like, it's not a good thing. Yeah, so the anxiety and depression all kicked in once I moved away. Like, just from always looking around and like being so hyper vigilant, and like going back to a normal member of society. Like, people treat you differently as well. Like, when you're in a club, a good saying is, the person makes the patch doesn't make the person. So a lot of people used to wear their colours and all the time, and their jumpers all the time, because the patch is them, you know what I mean? So like, without that, they wouldn't be anything. So they used to wear that, and people used to be scared of them and all that. Whereas I used to never ever wear my colours or my jumpers or anything like that, because that's why I have no photos wearing it, because like, I didn't need to. I was who I was. Like, the patch didn't make me. But yeah, like, going back into normal everyday living, like, it's just because you've lived that life so long, like, getting up for work is hard. Like, I reckon the biggest gangsters in the world are the people that get up every day at 4 o'clock a.m. and work their ass off, because it's easy to pull a trigger. It's easy to be a crim, you know what I mean? It's hard to work for a living and come home and be knackered and still having to cook dinner and go to the gym and all that sort of stuff. So like, these kids out there that are going down that path, like, you need to get on that other path quickly, because it fucks with your head, and the longer that you're in it, the longer that it's going to stuff you up mentally. I found it hard making friends, because you still look for the morals that the boys have in the club. Like, would never sleep with someone's missus, would always have your back, and all them sort of things. Whereas in normal society, like, there's a lot of dudes that don't have them sort of morals. They didn't grow up like that. So it's hard. It was hard for me trying to find a friend group, because, situations would happen, and I'd hear someone say, oh yeah, that's my mate's ex, and I'd be like, that's your mate's ex-missus? Like, that's no good, bro. Like, I can't hang around you. And I'd cut them off straight away. So it takes you a long time to start being, you find your people, but yeah, it does take a long time getting back into the rhythm of life. And it still affects me to this day. Like, I still find it hard. I still snap sometimes and get angry, and like, if someone at a bar's like, trying to be tough or give you the evil eye. Like, now I try to correct it with kindness. Like, I'll just smile and be like, hey bro, how you going? And that normally works, because they're only doing that mug face and all that because you look like someone that's part of that life. But another thing, when you leave that life, you realise how stupid it is that you fight with other clubs, because them people in other clubs, all right, they grew up in the same area as you did. They grew up the same way you did. They lived the same life you did. They got into the same fights when they were kids like you did. And you hate them just because they're wearing a different patch to you. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And once you leave the club, you start becoming friends with them people. Like, you start having a lot more in common then you think, man, we used to hate you for no reason, you know what I mean? And I'm sure if you're in their club, you'd probably be their best mate. And that's where I think it's silly, because like, you are the same people, you have the same morals, you grew up the same way. Why are you fighting so much? Like, kids need to realize that, like, these friends that you have probably won't be your friends once you join a club, because they could be hanging around another club and you've got to hate them, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's not good. It's not good when you live in that life. Like, there's just a lot of hate. But yeah, I found myself being friends with, and once, no one talks to you once you leave the club, but then once they leave, it's like you've seen each other yesterday, they want to talk to you again, but it's really sad, because you're like, man, you didn't talk to me for 6 years, why do you want to talk to me now? You know what I mean? So everyone gets it. Everyone's in the same boat. You think this is your family, you're in the club, everything's good, you leave the club, no one talks to you except for a handful of good people, and then once they leave, then they want to talk to you again. And you're like, bro, why don't you just talk to me the whole time? I used to talk to people that were out of the club all the time, because I'm not going to let someone else dictate who I talk to and who I don't talk to. So if you're a good human, I'm talking to you. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. You can throw me out for it, but yeah, it was what it was at that time. But yeah, you start, and you know what, man, when you live a good life, to these kids that are getting into trouble, when you live on the right path, good people come into your life. And I promise you that now. It's going to be hard for a couple of years or whatever, trying to get back into that normal rhythm when you used to crime. But once you do realize how many good people are out there, and how many good people will help you, and how many people are there for you, like, if you need them, like, man, there are strangers out there that will drop everything and try to put you on the right path. Like, if there's any kids struggling with anything at the moment, I'm happy for you to write to my Instagram, and I'm happy for you to give you advice on where you could go to veer down a different path. I could put you on to people to talk to, you know what I mean? Like, it's a hard transition, but it's worth it in the end. Like, man, I'm so happy now. Like, my life couldn't be any better. Like, I have good people around me. My family loves me. Like, they tell me they're proud of me all the time. Like, it's just, you're not living an evil life anymore. It's a good life. Once you surround yourself with positivity, your life will be positive. So yeah, I hope you got a lot from that.